thing I learned, I think perhaps that stood out the most to me from my 12 years ultimately of building Vinomofo from a garage into a $100 million company, was that what was really important in business, and people talk a lot about optimization and they talk a lot about data driven, and that's all fine. But to me and to us as a brand and a company was what we stood for. That was the thing that actually drew people and they cared about and they talked about and that built us. And for me, what struck me, and I look at other brands and other businesses that did this and did it well, and it's a bit of a cliche, but for me, it was Apple, and it wasn't that they made cool phones, you know. And I look at brands like Apple and Samsung, and Samsung is a product brand, right? They make phones and they make other stuff, and that's cool. I've got a TV. But Apple, at a time when I, as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, bullied in high school, didn't fit in the northern beaches of Sydney, trying to find who I was, this brand came out and said, the misfits, the rebels, the ones that think differently, you're the ones that are going to change the world. And I bought into it, you know, and it became what they stood for. And so yes, I bought their stuff. But similarly for Vinomofo, we had sort of cool wine and stuff. And that was interesting for people, it was a good price. But what we did was we went out and we changed the language and the attitude towards wine, and we were like, forget all the bow ties and bullshit. We're just us and, you know, sneakers and t-shirts and occasional bad language, and that's what we stood for. And what we found is an entire generation that hadn't felt included. They didn't feel like they belonged. They didn't feel like they were part of wine. But they drank wine. They went, oh, thank you. Here you are, where have you been? And they joined us, and that built the company. And I realized from that it is how to grow, that people want to feel a part of something. If you want to be a brand that people care about and they talk about, you have to stand for something. And you need people talking about you. You need that organic growth. You can't buy your way to growth. And you can't stand for all things for everybody. You've got to these are the people like us. These are the people, these are for us. This is who we are for, in service of. And you've got to let go of this idea that you need to be for everybody, because that just dilutes your product and it dilutes your brand, and it doesn't work. So that was my big learning, and that is what I created an agency around, the premise of, and do the work for. And that is what I think is really important to impart, not just as a story in a talk. It is a methodology, and I can break it down, and it's usable and it's workshoppable, and you can do it yourselves. You can discover it yourselves with this, and that's what I like to share.